Final question. What would you guys' final word be, for someone who may be single or may be in the process of going to saying I do? What would your final words be to them?
Pray. Oh my gosh. Because it's nice to plan and everything, but life is not going to go as you expect it to go. Like, honestly, just a little transparency here. Like, after the pandemic started, 2020? Yeah. So after I finished school, I went back to school. After I finished school, I got a job and everything was going great. Like, we were making money, saving, and it was great. Like, everything was good. We didn't have to pay for daycare. Like, we had money to save, and then we would still go out, and we were able to do a lot. And then I lost my job. It was like, what I was supposed to do. And then later on, I found that I was pregnant. I'm like, I'm not working. I have to go to prenatal visits. David still has some checkups here and there. And it's just like, what am I going to do? Like, we had a plan. Like, going into 2021, we had a solid plan, and we were making steps towards that plan, and it was going very well, thank God. And then, like I said, I lost my job, and then it was just like, okay, so what are we supposed to do now? Bills still have to get paid. So, all right, we have savings, we're good. And then, well, now you're expecting another child. And it's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Mind you, I'm still not working at this point. Nobody's calling me back. I'm not even having interviews. And it's just like, what's going to happen? And thank God, he worked it out in his own way to where I was able to get a job. But like, pray, because you don't know what life is going to throw at you. Like, you just don't know. And I don't care how well you plan. The Bible tells us, like, the ways, man makes his own way. I'm paraphrasing. Man makes his own ways, but ultimately, like, it's up to the Lord. And a man that says he's going to do this today, and that today is foolish without saying by God's grace. Like, without saying by God's grace, because it's only by God's grace that you're able to do those things. And what happens if you plan down to the letter and then everything just doesn't go as planned? One thing I've learned in this marriage, look, life is not going to go the way we want it to go. Because life is not going the way we want it to go. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but it's not going to go the way you want it to go. Trust the Lord's sovereignty, but make sure that you committed to his way. Like, you can, it's great to tell the Lord, look, this is what I want to do. This is what I have in mind. But ultimately, like Christ said, let your will be done and not mine. Like, it's great, it's fine to plan, but just know that God's will needs to prevail over your will. Like, it's not worth it to put yourself through that unnecessary heartache when you could have just committed, yes, requested, but also submitted to ultimately whatever it is that he wants to do for you. So that's my best pray, because Christ has to be the center of your marriage.
Amen.
I would say going through the wedding planning process, it'd be great if you and your significant other were like kind of the same type of person, but sometimes you maybe with someone who's a little different, who's dealt with finances differently. Like, not everyone is like, I'm not going to buy a $1,200 jacket. Some people are okay with it. Some people are not okay with it. So, compromising and talking, communicating is definitely important. I would also say, even though this is a financial talk about wedding planning, don't always think about the finances, because when I'm the one that's like talking, thinking about it a lot, and then it becomes suffocating for like the other person. And sometimes like, oh, let's just go out and get some food, or let's go on a vacation. I mean, recently I was blessed enough to be in a job where like they is in Israel. So we went to Israel for work, and she tagged along the vacation. Plug in, it was paid for, her part was paid for by the card, the American Express 1 points. So perfect. And I've never been in a position where I didn't have to think about money. So we were able to go out, get dinner and lunch and stuff, and the company paid. And it was like, we were so happy. And then after, she was like, I'm so glad we did this, because like, before we were thinking about the wedding, saving money, now we're back. We're thinking about saving money for the wedding. It's like it's a constant buzzing in your head. So having that time away from like worrying about the wedding, worrying about who's coming, who didn't pay, you know, finances are important, but don't forget to talk to each other, take a break from it. You know, don't think about the money from take a vacation, you know, do something together. That's definitely important.
Yeah, praise God. So I would just say if you don't, you know, take anything away today from the conversation, the Holy Spirit laying on my heart is to be disciplined. And I'm going to read Luke 16:10. It says, "He who is faithful in a very little thing is faithful also in much. And he who is unrighteous in a very little thing is unrighteous also in much." Matthew 25:23 says, "His master said to him, well done, good and faithful slave. You are faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of the master." And this is just me saying that we talked about, you know, very little things about saving, cutting costs, spending less on the ring and all those things. And when God sees how you manage the finances, when God sees how you're trying to be faithful to the leader that He has blessed you, it will definitely open the heavens to bless you more. You can have more to do whatever you want to do because He knows you have the much or the more that He has released, He knows that you will manage it well. So the discipline in whatever you do. Thank you.
Amen.
That's so true. The thing that, you know, keeps coming back to me is like, take care of your mind, soul, and your body. You know, I remember during the wedding planning, it was very, very stressful. You know, it was very tasking, especially, I would say for me, it was. And, you know, there are things when you go through stressful times, the things that you've been struggling with before that period, they really, really they surface, you know, they surface up. And so it was such a difficult period for me because I was just going through a time where I was stressed and then I was dealing with some things. And I didn't take time to really take care of, you know, myself very, very well. I was doing well at first, and then all of a sudden it just came crashing down. So I really say, like, you know, take care of yourself, you know, take care of your mind, take care of the things that are coming into your mind. You know, if you want to take a break every now and then from, you know, like just, you know, things that you're watching, you know, social media. It may not even be about like the glitz and glamour of wedding planning. It might be like stress with work. You know, I was dealing with, you know, a couple of stress here and there at work, and all kinds of other things. But I'm really, really grateful to God. God gave me like the ability, like I was able to, you know, work, you know, outside of my primary, you know, my main job. I was able to work part-time. You know, opportunities were coming up, but it was very, very physically tasking for me. But, you know, just make sure that you take care of yourself, take a break. Like Deborah said, I definitely did that. You know, I had to take a break because I realized that, you know, I was doing too much and it wasn't of any benefit for either one of us or, you know, so I think that it's important to do a check-in with yourself, check-in with your spouse. You know, it's not always about, you know, all of the planning that goes into it. You need to take, you know, check in, make sure that you're paying attention to each other, you know, because you're both like outside of wedding planning, you have other things that are going on. So I would say, and also like take care of your faith, like take care of your faith is so important. It's like, don't like, yes, it gets so busy. You might forget to, you know, spend time, you know, doing all the things that you used to do, your normal routine of like, you know, reading your Bible, of studying the word, you know, praying. Things shift because you're just, you know, running, you know, trying to get things done, you know, all the things that you have to do. You know, don't let it take the place of your relationship with God because That's where you really need to rely your strength on. You need to rely on God. So that's what that's the only thing that comes to. And I also wanted to say, like, even in terms of, like, I know we've been talking about, the discipline and, all these, like, things like the late gratification that you said too. I think that in order for us to also help ourselves is, like, be realistic, that, yeah, you are not able to meal prep every single day. So be realistic about, like, okay, I can meal prep for, maybe a certain number of days. And then on this day, okay, maybe this is the day that we might want to go out to eat. Give yourself breaks, because it can be very physically tasking. It can be, everything takes time. If you don't have the time, then you need to be realistic about what you have time for. So those are the things that, come to mind.
I guess kind of in line with what you said too. Don't compromise your faith in the process. It's so easy for us to trust in our own power, especially when it comes to financial planning for a wedding, and putting everything together. And then when it doesn't go according to plan, we get discouraged so easily. And we forget who is at the center of everything that we're doing. It's really important that you don't forget that in the planning process. Just put everything in God's hands. Even if you don't see where the help is coming from, trust that the help will be provided. I think that's, like, very important. We sometimes have tunnel vision when it comes to, like, our end goal, and we're like, we're gonna do X, Y, Z to get there. But God might want you to go in B direction or C direction, but we have to be careful to not get discouraged when we're trusting so much in our own power and it doesn't go according to plan. Remember that God is the ultimate master of anything that we plan. We talk about wedding, finances, getting a home, your job, your career. He is the master planner. So we have to be more sensitive to his will and to his word, so that we don't trip and fall on our own feet when trying to put all this together.